Does jungle need to change? Do we need buffs? Does it need to evolve? Is it too simple? These are all questions that have been asked over the past 2 years as farming junglers have reigned supreme. However, in this video, I want to look at the risks and rewards of a spam ganking style, no matter what jungler you're playing, and showing you that if you are a pathing savant, if you understand how to gank like an absolute beast, and you know how to circumvent vision in every single aspect, then I see no reason why you can't gank a rat IRL lane maybe 8 times in 10 minutes, and thereby sowing confusion on the enemy jungler about what to do about it, and anything else you might need to make a farming or low interaction jungler feel absolutely useless. Alright, in our first game here, we have a Jarvan IV against a Kayn who's warding over here, and this is going to be a really interesting game because, as you might recognize, this is rat IRL on Ashe, and I watched this game live and his reactions were 1, very, very hilarious, but 2, really good for junglers to understand why this style can be so damn good, and why junglers who end up being confused and not knowing what to do can end up being a detriment to your team. And honestly, if you're a jungler that ends up like this Kayn, you know, sometimes you could do nothing about it, but sometimes you can. So we're going to look at this example first, and then a secondary example afterwards. But as always, you know, we have a lot more facts usually on this channel, but sometimes these more raw coaching vids do go hard in terms of information, so please consider, you know, leaving a like, commenting, subscribing if you enjoy either of the content. And don't forget that if you want coaching like this, then that is available on my Patreon, as well as coaching VODs if you simply want to watch me coach others. Now, the Jarvan, after the first buff, we're going to go ahead here and go leashless, right? We're going to go ahead and snack this beauty of a red buff, and then go straight down across and gank bot lane. Why? Low mobility. Why? Double range versus a melee support, which will have the poke advantage. This is a very, very good gank by the Jarvan. Here we go. This is standard stuff. Nothing that should surprise you. But obviously, you know, I play bot lane too when this happens. I just go, oh, of course, you know, absolutely, of course. Rat does a beautiful job here of out-mechanicking the enemy and still getting one back, you know. And from a jungler POV, if you're the Kayn, yeah, then you're basically going, well, this ward, firstly, placed by the Zoe, does nothing. All right, if you're going to place this ward, place it up. Place it up. Because, yeah, she's kind of covering her own, you know, from this angle of a level 2 gank, but if you're looking for standard tracking, specifically leashless starts and things like that, then obviously, you know, putting it where they're going to be crossing, most likely, is obviously better. So here, I mean, the Jarvan can easily just go round, right? He can easily go into here, invade, he can easily go round. If he knows you've warded this, there's nothing you can really do about it as a jungler or the blue team. Now, Kayn, on the other hand, and this is the issue, all right, is starting on Raptors. He then decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to go Raptors, Red, Krugs. And there's this absolute nonsensical bullshit, is all I can call it, going around that there's this new invading route. Yeah, what? You telling me 3 camp invades are new? Nah, that is one of the oldest routes in the book, ladies and gentlemen. It is not new. It is actually not that great either, against junglers who are not full clearing, where you cannot trap them on a blue or a Gromp, because even if it was a regular Jarvan route, right, he's already finishing up with his Gromp. You're not getting any value out of doing this invading. You only get value out of doing this, maybe counter-ganking the Jarvan, right? But again, should that even be your prerogative as a Kayn? I don't think it should be. You know, Raptors into Krugs into Red, just making sure you control a good 315 is still better. Because if the Jarvan's going to invest heavily down here, which it looks like he is, you can counter jungle and then, of course, look top and look mid, which is what you should be doing. Now, he goes into the enemy jungle anyway and says, haha, and snipes away a Gromp. And Jarvan goes, well, that's cheesy, but you just wasted your own experience gain. Because the Jarvan doesn't plan on farming, right? And that's what we're focusing on here. The Jarvan. He doesn't care about the farming as much. Okay? He knows what he's going to do. Now, what I want you to focus on here is the pathing diversity and understanding of vision. Because the Ashe and the Ezreal are most likely going to be slapping down wards, right? And tracking as best they can the approach of the Jarvan. You know, in this situation, a repeat gank is pretty free because the Pyke syncs up with him. The wave is pushed up a little bit here with that 2v1. And now, of course, we know they have no sum. So this is an excellent, excellent repeat gank. Now, as Rat said, don't go off too hard, guys, with those missed kill shots. Ezreal perhaps could have gone in and at the very least, you know, he kills the Jarvan. He probably dies, but he kills the Jarvan. So I don't know what you kind of want to value in that sense. But this is great, right? This is absolutely great from the Jarvan. This is what you're looking to do if you're a ganking jungler. Now, whether you're going red into cross-map gank, which is great, right? If he starts here going up and you start here going down, doing this early means you cut off the possibility of vertical jungling, which is what we want to do, right? Even if you do a standard clear, this works. However, the ganking here is great early, but then the repeat gank is something people are not doing enough in mobile-less lanes, right? No flashes, no dashes. Yeah, he has arcane shift, but he's level 2, so he does it. And that's the kind of thing you got to think about when ganking bottom lane. You got to think about level spikes. Top lane 2. Junglers will go for a 245 at least gank and it still works, even if she's not a champion really anymore. Is your lane at level 3, and are they ready for that gank with their CC spell? So deciding whether or not you want to go 1 camp, 2 camp, 3 camp, 4 camp invades or ganks is very, very important in terms of your pathing. Now, the Jarvan here, you might think, right, I know at this stage that because of this invest and the fact that Kayn's not taking my top side, I want him to do that. I know that this is now warded. I know that they're going to ward this. They are going to be paranoid that I come a third time, and that's exactly what you want to do. But we know that the Kayn has gone up, and this is the thing about farming junglers. They are predictable. Even if it's another ganking jungler, and most likely he's ganking here, right? He's not ganking bot lane. So we go ahead, and we just go around. We EQ the wall, and we sit here. We place this wall, which will track the tier 2 Krugs that will spawn from the Kayn. We wait for them to push up. Rat says, all right, we are protected now. But the Jarvan had, this is just great pathing. This is just good pathing. It's a little psychopathic, but, you know, again, EQ doesn't hit, but we don't need to hit our spells. We can just literally walk at them, drool, and kill them at this point, which is exactly what we want. Now, you might think, okay, well, Kayn took all of this, but then he goes ahead and resets, right? He doesn't gank this. He doesn't gank this. He doesn't control this. He's now floating here chasing out of tempo. He's chasing out of tempo. Are you really going to go for this now just because Jarvan's low? Can you even kill them? Of course we can, but we're still Kayn, right? So the Kayn here messes up because what he's now doing is priming himself for bottom to top sequence, but Jarvan's camping this lane. So your decision to counter the Jarvan is as follows. Affect another lane while you're 3 quadrant controlling, or swap your directionals to go down so that you can counter gank. And when we looked at the Karthus jungler video earlier in the year, when we had 3 camp control, he was Rek'Sai Karthus with 1, 2, 3 control, we forced the enemy Rengar to live only in this quadrant. So where's he going to gank? Here and here. So as long as we're pathing in a way that allows us to counter gank, it's okay. We don't really need to worry about the lanes if they're neutral, if they're winning. But ganking and losing lane with really bad timing, that's what costs you. And the Jarvan has set this up perfectly. So that's 3 ganks, right? Now he knows he's lost all of his top side. The Kayn's mistake is not fixing his directional. So he's going to the top side again, all right? And we would have seen this from the Jarvan's ward and the Krugs. And as a ganking jungler against a farming jungler, when you leave a ward here for this counter jungling, it's beautiful. It's beautiful because that's what you want to see. I want to see if he's going to reverse or stay in the same direction. Now, again, same thing. We use the pot plant, I guess, and we're going to go to the bot lane. Now, you saw the Kayn show very, very briefly. The Kayn now realizes like, shit, if I go up here, right, well, we're doomed. We're straight up doomed. And of course, we have Ashe Hawkshot, excuse me, where they traded, so there you go. And we see it, okay? So he knows it's happening, but this pathing, okay, is the problem. We see it ever so briefly. He walks in the front of the bush. Just walk in the back. It's not difficult to remain hidden. But again, can you win 3v3? This decision you must make, and this assessment you must make. The wave is, again, not so good. And of course, there's a ward here, which bot lane should clear out. Always help out if your jungler's going to show. But at the same time, you know, they're really nervous about the Jarvan showing up. And of course, because we hit it, now we know Jarvan's here. Now, Kayn knows Jarvan's here, but they know that the Kayn is here, and this is dumb, right? We kind of know that the Pyke is going to be trapping. We kind of know that we're going to need to set this up a little bit better than that. And at the end of the day, it's a losing lane. Now, this looks absolutely ridiculous. You can blame the ADC all you like as a Kayn, but the Jarvan, gank number 4. Yeah, number 1. You know, brilliant. Brilliant ganking. Good pathing all around. And well done by the Pyke to enforce it. Now we're going to go for Dragon. But the Kayn, this is just delusional counting. It's too late. You know, as he said on stream, I don't mind being camped like this because I don't want to whine like a bitch. But at least be doing something else. And in the video I just released, see, this is dumb. Okay, Zia, what are you doing? You know, this is dumb. In the video I just released last week, I talked about how to make laners respect you immediately, every single game. And the whole point was, And the example I use, I can even show it on screen now, is if you're, if someone's ganking top lane on your top laner and you're not there to counter gank or do anything about it, but you're down here, are you counter jungling him? Are you diving bot lane? Are you at least taking a dragon? Are you at least taking something from the map? But the Kayn is taking top side, and it makes no sense because the top side is his side. The Jarvan knows this. The Jarvan has given it up to him. You see? And look, we see him. He keeps telegraphing everything he's doing. And a ganking jungler, when you see a farming jungler do this, punish him, just like this Jarvan. I know there's red spawning, right? I know there's wards everywhere. So I'm going to go even further around, wait for the wave. Why are we waiting? Because this wave here matches this wave here. And if you walk through, you're going to be detected. So ganking pathing at this level is crucial if you actually want to succeed and thrive with this kind of style. Here we go. Walking through. Kayn's not counter ganking. We know he's not counter ganking. And you lose 2v2 anyway. Actually, I lied because the Pyke misplayed that about 18,000 different ways. And Jarvan just shows up again. Zeri just immediately takes care of the Ezreal, showing the lead she does have. The Pyke kind of threw that big time. Flash is up, but there's no point, because as soon as we flash, we're dead anyway, so we might as well save a flash. He finally goes to his blue side, level 1 Gromp, level 1 Wolves. He doesn't know what to do, the Kayn. He just thinks, let me counter jungle some camps. No. Gank this. Get orbs. Get your form. Gank this. Get orbs. Get your form. Try and counter gank this a bit better early. Swap your direction early. Now, the Jarvan, of course, stole the red. So now, equal and opposite, right? Mirror pathing. You take my camps, I take yours, because he can. And now he can fall back to his blue side. We do counter 1-6 for the next gank. What are we at now? 5. Here we go. And you'll notice, we ganked early like this, then we ganked again like this, then we ganked around like this, and we ganked like this again, then we went super around. And now again, because of that, we know the vision is controlled with the use of our scanner. And this is really funny on stream. If you go watch Rat's stream, it is really, really funny. It's like Jarvan's probably in the bush. You check. He's telling the Ezreal to check. It's honestly so funny to watch. But, it's like, he's there. He's there, right? 100%. So you walk up a little bit closer to the Jarvan's like, all right, I'm just going to flash it and kill you. I mean, what are you going to do about it? And it's painful. It's really, really painful, okay, to watch this amount of ganking. And obviously the Azir now is going to move on down around. And the Jarvan is doing the work. Great pathing, great control of vision. He knows he can spam gank it. And people are asking, can you even do this style anymore and thrive? Can you even do this style anymore and win games? Well, of course you can. Look at the gold amount. 3,900 to 3,000. It's excellent. What's he doing? At this point, this doesn't hurt anyone. This doesn't hurt anyone anymore because Jarvan hasn't even been there. He doesn't care. What will hurt him? Gank. Herald. Mid lane. Right? Something that forces Jarvan to have to go, well, shit, I better do something because there's a Herald play going on somewhere. There's Zia's bot lane. Can we use Herald here in the mid lane and push this up to tier 2? If we had it, we could. Once we see the Azir going down. But we don't. Alright? And even then the Azir obviously now recognizes, alright, I have to go back to lane, but he just used a bit of that pride to do that. Now Pyke's moving as well. Now Zoe will have to move up. And what's Kayn going to do? He's finally going to do this, okay? But this focus on just taking the Raptors and the red every now and then instead of, hey, look at this pushy lane. You're not going to kill these champions all the time, but if you can chunk them, push them out of the lane, give advantages to other champions on the map, you will force Jarvan to at least respect you. The spam ganking ability of the Jarvan here is severely compromised in the current meta because of the experience you get from farming, but at the same time, we all know you can be up 50 CS against a ganking jungler, and he's only like down a level or the same level. So there's a lot of experience in monsters, lanes, and kills that you don't necessarily get from farming. So farm control needs to be done well, but you still need impact. And that's the biggest message I had in the last video talking about if one of your lanes are going to be ganked and camped, then you must have something going on somewhere else to offset that. And it doesn't matter. Bot lanes don't mind being camped if you've got an absolutely 5-0 Fiora top lane or something like that, Obviously the Akshan vs. Ornn doesn't help, but you're not harming anyone by counter jungling the top side and forgetting your blue side. Like, he doesn't even have 3-quadrant control. He's not sequencing at all. He's just kind of cutting through and showing exactly what he's doing, which allows Jarvan to keep doing it. Because he's predictable and he hasn't reversed the sequencing down to counter gank each time, which is what he should have done, the Jarvan's able to gank once more, So the Kayn is allowing it to happen for sure. But the point is, if this can happen to 400, 500 LP, Grandmaster, Master, whatever, Master most likely, you can definitely spam gank like this in your elos, but you gotta be aware of vision, no hesitation, you gotta know what lane you want to do it to, and now you're using that lead to push into his jungle, okay, and keep that pressure up. And that's absolutely huge, I feel. You know, so you can definitely play this style and have success, but at the same time, it's not necessarily without risk. You know, if you don't get these ganks going, if you walk up a vision, if you don't track the Kayn appropriately, but look, he was so predictable here, you know? Again, another dive. There we go. There we go. There we go. And finally, look who shows up. Finally. Okay, let's just have a quick look at a Rek'Sai example to show you a little bit of how that pressure can translate when you don't exactly have a level 2 cheese from Jarvan. Maybe a little bit less of a prime gankable lane, but we can still easily read and adapt. Now, yeah, Kayn dies due to a Blitzcrank invade, but nothing, it's irrelevant in the context of this video. And obviously he gets leashed and he's going up. So Rek'Sai knows this. So what we can do is we can 3-quadrant red side and do anything we want, right? We can gank this, which I think looks kind of juicy. We can loop back around, which is kind of dumb because there'll be nothing here and then you're going to lose your top side. And if you don't get anything here, then woo, not a good time. However, we can also do this in Invade if I'm a jungler. We can cut through and gank top lane. These are all the options. Maybe I'll do a flashed out video on these 3-quadrant options because they're very interesting and they're not new at all, but I think people have forgotten them. And if you played Season 9 like I did, then you will, of course, remember that kind of stuff. But looking to read and adapt into a gank is huge. Galley goes in, fear, we move, we knock up, we get an auto-cancel, Q, and she goes pop. And obviously, that's huge, you know? Kayn now, again, uses this stupid nonsense of doing, hey, look, I read about a 3-quadrant clear gank. Like, you're opening your whole red side up. You know, this is great, by the way, to abuse the fact that Blitz has no sums, which is the most important thing here. Good reaction, all right? So in terms of the context of this game, yeah, sure, this is fine. But at the same time, where's the Rek'Sai going to go next? No, straight up that the red side is available. Now, the downside is the top laner dies here. Kayn immediately cuts across. Aurelia's coming from mid lane, but we're still able to use that pressure to get in to his jungle and take some stuff. Overgreed to try and protect his camps because he's got nothing else to do. He's forced to flash. Rek'Sai also Galley also flashes. Rek'Sai's now zoning the Aurelia, flashes to get that knock up. Aurelia flashes out. Huge fiesta defending over camps. In your games, this might not happen. And I'm willing to bet that in these games, if you're the Kayn making this kind of play, which is great, by the way, you're still going to be real late to this and you're going to be a little bit experience screwed. So if you want to make that play after dying early, just do the red side thing and then go down bot lane. And now you can fall back to your blue side, right? That's the whole point. The Rek'Sai and the Kayn are going for some small fistings in the river now because obviously they want that crab, but the gold is nice, but the experience is really, really minimal. And at this point, it's not about the gold for us because we have 1 kill, 1 assist. It's about the experience. So a good example of adaptive ganking here from the Rek'Sai into an invade, still gets a camp, right? Now, instead of doing blue side thinking, oh, I better do that, goes back top lane to look for another gank because the Jax yet just come back to lane, has no TP. Can we get a chunk? But let's be honest. I think most of us will know that ganking a Jax isn't exactly what we want to do, but the Gnar has not yet gone back to base, okay? And we kind of want to push this in a way that allows him the time to do that. And we also know that the Kayn is on the top side here, or at least was, while he was farming his, red and his Krugs, and of course the Scuttle Crab. So we look to push this out a little bit. Jax decides to go in. The counter-strike does go through. Kayn ganks this. Rek'Sai knocks up the Kayn. We're creating space using the Gnar, and we get nothing. So this is a complete fiesta, all right? Looking for these ganks, but we don't really need to worry about that. We fall back to our blue side. Now we can reset, and now we can head straight to the bot lane again. So you're seeing a good example of red quadrant into gank, into flexing to the opposite side, so that we can fall back to these camps, reset, and now head back to this lane. Whereas the Kayn's one allows him, forces him to start chasing camps and cutting across the map, wasting a lot of time. So it's better to do the red side into the bottom lane gank so you can fall back to this, and the Rek'Sai now is on the top side. Yeah, he's doing this, but you're camping this. And it also allows you to counter jungle these tier 2 camps should the Rek'Sai waste time top, just like she did, okay? We're going straight into the Krugs here for some experience juices. We could look to go straight here. Kayn counter jungles the Raptors to get some tasty morsels back. And now Rek'Sai says, right, let's gank again. And instead of ganking one lane, we're ganking many lanes, knowing that sums are burned, at least for the majority of the cases. Ezreal still has his flash. but obviously tracking that is on you. Use your F keys. Kayn goes up, gets 6 early actually because of the extra camps he managed to secure, so Rek'Sai recognizes that and says, well, that is the risk of ganking, and now goes back to the red. So this gank, not so good. This gank, very, very good. This gank, very, very good. Fall back to our camps. Okay? The prior used will give Kayn a objective, but the tunnel still placed here allows us to say, well, you take the objective and farm. I'm going to go back mid lane and gank again, knowing that Flash is down. So the key thing from this video, use dynamically aggressive pathing to gank a lane. Ensure you are repeat ganking it using good angles, good flanking, good understanding of vision and scanners. And if you're the farming jungler, be more like this Kayn than the last Kayn. Because the last Kayn ran around doing nothing. This Kayn said, well, Rek'Sai's doing this, I know no flash, I'm going to do my ganking myself. It's not ideal, but it's still a good gank, right? Now we can float to the top side. The Rek'Sai's trying to help the Nod push out, but they know the Kayn's here, so the Kayn says, all right, I'm going to gank it. I'm going to counter gank it, I'm going to be present. Same thing here with a good 2v2, right? Same thing there after the Raptors. So the Kayn might not be super, super fad, 0-1-3, but at least he's been on the map. At least he's tried to have impact. So there you have it, a little bit of an expose on spam ganking and ganking junglers and how you need to look at the map, and also a little bit about what to do if you're a farming jungler / skirmisher who needs to deal with those kinds of events. It is the confusion rule as a ganking jungler. Make sure you make the farming jungler and enemy jungler unsure about what to do next, purely because they just don't understand what to do with your pressure. And in the case of the first example, the Kayn didn't know to swap directions. In the case of the second example, he knew to counter gank and at least be present in those mixtures. And that's what Rat was getting so annoyed about on his stream, because he wasn't doing anything to impact other lanes and he wasn't putting himself enough into position to counter gank those Jarvan ganks, which are at that point quite predictable, even though we could do nothing about it. We're limited on vision early. If you do want to know how to be an absolutely prime total jungler, click the video in the box on the top right. If you want to understand, the 8 ways to make a jungler respect you, as I mentioned, click the video link in the box in the bottom left.